Hi guys, it's Jack here, and today I want to talk to you about Creative Confidence by Tom and David Kelly. Now this book isn't specifically for graphic designers, but it's incredibly motivational and well worth looking at if you're interested in graphic design. Even if you're not interested in graphic design, I would highly recommend this book. It will leave you feeling braver and more willing to take risks in your creative career, so I'd really recommend reading it. Let's get into it. So who wrote this book? They're a pair of brothers called Tom and David Kelly. Tom is the author of a book called The Art of Innovation, and David is the founder of the design school at Stanford University. This book is basically their experiences together in teaching this design school in a group of multidisciplinary students. So they have experience with both analytical thinkers and more typically creative thinkers. So what is this book all about then? It's about building your creative confidence and unleashing your potential. And you're like, oh, what does that actually mean? Well, basically, this book says that anyone is creative. Whether you think of yourself as an analytical thinker or a creative, everyone has the ability to be a creative person. The book has useful diagrams, pictures that help illustrate the points that Tom and David make, and the book is full of inspiring success stories that reinforce the points. People who believe that they can affect change are the ones that do. So people who have creative confidence are more likely to set their sights higher, try harder, persevere longer, and show more resilience in the face of failure. This book is not strictly for graphic designers, I've already said that, but I guarantee that when you get to the end of this book, you feel pumped up to design and you actually just feel braver. So now I want to talk about the three biggest takeaways I've had from this book. There are loads of things that I could say. There's a lot of motivational advice, there's a lot of points that you can integrate into your own creative process, things with team building, there's a lot of good stuff, but my top three takeaways are: one, you need to adopt a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. This is a crucial idea because the idea is basically that anyone can get to wherever they want to be, as long as they have a mindset that they're going to continue and persevere to get there. If you have a fixed mindset, someone who, say, thinks about becoming an athlete but then has reservations about it, might be embarrassed, whatever, they will not even train, they won't start the process to even get there, so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Obviously, you need to believe that you're going to get there as long as you continually make improvements with a growth mindset in order to achieve your goals. So that's the first thing. Just adopt a growth mindset, which means that you are willing to work to get to where you want to be. Just adding to that point, I'm going to put a link to a video by Ira Glass, who talks about why you need to persevere to get to your goals and this growth mindset. I think it's also really worth saying that for the first couple of years when you're doing creative work, you're not going to like what you do, and that's what Ira Glass clarifies, and I think it's really worth watching in conjunction with that growth mindset point. So click on the link below if you want some extra information on that. So point number two, the second takeaway that I want to give you is the idea of the failure paradox. So Tom and David Kelly explore that statistically you are much more likely to succeed if you're prepared to shrug off failure and actually not see failure as failure but more just a lesson learned. He gives the example, they both give the example of Thomas Edison creating the incandescent light bulb, which he didn't get to without 1,000 attempts to actually make it. Then there's J.K. Rowling, who got rejected from 12 different publishing houses after writing her first book for 7 years. And then there's James Dyson, who created the first vacuum, his dual cyclone, which is a bit of a boss actually, really nice. And he took over 5,000 iterations to get to the final product. So the point is, if you don't see your failures or setbacks as failures in themselves, but rather lessons learned, and you're prepared to shrug those off, that's how you'll get to where you want to be and succeed. Just coming on from that point, James Dyson has a really good quote, and he says that when you feel like giving up, that is precisely the point when everyone else feels like giving up. So that's when you need to put extra effort in. If you do that, then success is literally just around the corner. I think that's a really good point, because it's not just that you need to be able to shrug off failure, but you also need to push through despite feeling that you're not getting anywhere maybe. And point number 3, takeaway number 3, is take action and do a large volume of work. So Tom and David Kelly talk about Newton's first law of motion, where he says a body at rest tends to stay at rest. So basically, you just need to start. This is something that took me ages to actually just do. I've been talking about doing a YouTube channel about graphic design for ages, and I should have started months ago, but I'm finally starting now. But anyway, you need to just start. It's not going to be right, it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to improve every time you iterate and keep working at it. And then the other thing is doing a huge volume of work. I'm kind of squeezing an extra point into this point 3, but Tom and David Kelly talk about a potterer who has half of his class be judged on one piece of work that's perfect. They need to do one piece of work and make it as great as they possibly can. And then the other half of his pottery class has to just do a quantity. And at the end, the side of the class that had a quantity, being judged on quantity, were the ones that actually produced the best work anyway, because they were practicing as they were doing it. They were constantly iterating and constantly improving their craft by practicing it. So take action and do a huge volume of work rather than trying to perfect one piece and get really, really good at one thing. So finally, who should read this book? Well, I've already said at the start of the video, this book is not specifically for graphic designers, but I promise you that if you read this book, you'll get reinvigorated and have a lot more motivation to take creative risks, which I think is really, really important, because we all know what imposter syndrome and feeling like you're not maybe being the best version of yourself, without trying to sound really cheesy. So I think this book is really, really helpful to motivate you. If you're interested in buying the book, I'm going to put a little link below. No extra cost to yourself. Just want to be clear on that. No extra cost to yourself. But there'll be a link below, and it links to Amazon, and you can buy the book there. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to see more content like this. I'm going to do a video every single week with a different book that's going to hopefully help you become a better creative, and you can learn with me as I learn myself. Hope you really like the video, guys, and see you next week.